What's going on, Bottom Line viewers? It's Mitch here of the Bottom Line View, here to discuss the New England Patriots' latest signing. The Patriots have signed defensive end, former Atlanta Falcon, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, and former first-round pick Adrian Clayborn. Clayborn, a guy that had 9.5 sacks last season for the Atlanta Falcons, 6 in one game with the Falcons against the Dallas Cowboys. Crazy signing, because I saw that they were bringing him in, and I didn't really think it was realistic that Adrian Clayborn would actually become a Patriot at any time this offseason, because I thought that Adrian Clayborn was kind of going to be one of the guys that got a little bit overpaid by some teams. You know, he had his best season he's ever had this past season in 2017. So I thought that guy was just not going to be on the Patriots' radar so much. But he was actually at the upper end of the defensive end / pass rushers in free agency. And the Patriots go out, they make a move, and they get Adrian Clayborn. I have yet to see what the terms are. So if you guys here live with me, comment, of course, your thoughts, comment your anything else that you have regarding the Patriots signing Adrian Clayborn, your thoughts on Clayborn being a Patriot, Clayborn in the past, what he can bring to the Patriots, any sort of thing about that. And also, if you think that this now addresses the Patriots, what I thought was the Patriots' biggest need in pass rush. So the Patriots bring in a pass rusher to help out this defensive line, to help out in the rotation of rushers to get after the quarterback. So now when you look at the Patriots roster, they have Trey Flowers, they have Adrian Clayborn, they have their rookie Derek Rivers coming back. They have a number of guys at D-tackle like Malcolm Brown, Danny Shelton, Lawrence Guy. Of course, you have Dante Hightower coming back. Then you have Kyle Van Noy, who sometimes plays off the edge. Shane McClellan is also going to be coming back this season. So you have more variety of options coming off the edge and also pass rushing for the Patriots. Adam Butler, Dietrich Wise, those guys as well were pretty big parts of the team last year and expect to be even bigger parts with another year in the system this year. The interesting thing about the Patriots last year was, even though they weren't overly great at getting after the quarterback, they weren't, extremely impressive at, I guess, getting sacks and pressures, and they did struggle in that area of getting after the quarterback last season. I did think that the Patriots overall, with what they had in terms of their talent last year, their pass rush wasn't that bad, because you think about who was really playing for them. I mean, besides Trey Flowers, there wasn't anyone that was even really established as an NFL player. Malcolm Brown and Lawrence Guy are D tackles, not really considered pass rushers. The rest of them, are rookies or undrafted guys like Adam Butler, Dietrich Wise. These sort of guys that were playing last year were good last year for what they got them for, like good value in the draft, good undrafted players. But you were asking those guys to kind of play above their heads for much of that season. Now they can kind of take a little bit of a smaller role, and I don't think the Patriots are done whatsoever in adding to this position. I think Adrian Clayborn, of course, like I said, a guy that got 9.5 sacks last year, but I don't really think he is a 9.5 sack sort of guy. I mean, he's a good all-around defensive end. I think he has great versatility, and it shows in his size and what he's been able to do for the Falcons and for the Buccaneers. At 6'3", 280 pounds, he can pretty much play in any defense you really ask him to play. He could play 4-3 end. He could play 4-3 defensive tackle. He could play 3-4 end. The only thing he can really not play is nose tackle. He is, in that sort of way, a similar player to Michael Bennett, in my opinion. Now he's not as good, but he is a lot younger. He doesn't really have those off the field concerns. And this is a guy that I really thought in 2011, coming out in the draft, was going to be a really good player. It kind of took him some time to get into being a good player in the NFL because of some injuries to his knee in college and that sort of thing. But maybe Adrian Clayborn at 29 years old is starting to become what he was projected to become after his best season of his career in 2017. So I want to hear from you guys what you thought. Again, going over the statistics for Adrian Clayborn last year, He had 17 solo tackles, 21 total, 9.5 sacks. He only played about 53 or 56% of the snaps last year. So he was a guy that was sort of a situational guy for the Falcons just because they had so many players that were playing that position. I feel like he'll have a larger role for the Patriots because the Patriots tend to not bring in guys that are not solid in all facets of the game, at least good and competent. They rarely bring in guys that are specialists in one area. And I feel like the Patriots, with Adrian Clayborn, this is a player that I really feel strongly is a good all-around defensive end. I'm just not completely sold he is a great pass rusher consistently. He can have great games, but I feel like he is a all-around good defensive end in run support, good athleticism, good versatility, smart player, and can get after the passer on occasion. So in his career, he's had 7.5 sack seasons, 6 sack seasons, 9.5. So he's somewhere around there. He's like a 6 to 9 sack guy a year, and he is a all-around good player. So this is a good overall signing for the Patriots. We'll see how much money they got him for. But I'm going to open up to the comments. Rick Badboy says, no. How much do I think the contract is? That's actually interesting to determine. Because I don't really know, because I don't know what his value was from other teams. As far as I'm concerned, the Patriots may have been the first team he actually visited. So I don't really know in terms of who he visited, like how much money he's going to get, how many years. If I had to guess, like looking at some of the contracts, like there's been no reports from Adam Schefter or anybody like that. But I feel like from looking at some of the other signings, we really haven't seen a lot of edge rushers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't seen a lot of edge rushers actually get signed in this free agency quite yet. We've seen nose tackles and D tackles like Richardson, Poe, those sort of guys. Richardson got signed today. Wilkerson got signed. Richardson and Wilkerson both got signed to 1-year deals. My guess is this deal is probably like a 2 to 3 year deal. And I'm guessing it will probably be somewhere around maybe like 6 to 7 million a year would be my guess for about 3 years. That's my guess. It could be less, it could be more. I thought that his overall target market would be a higher coming in free agency than it was. I was surprised that he didn't actually have more teams trying to sign him. Now, maybe he wanted to go to the team and go visit there because he did have some visits lined up. But once he went to New England, he obviously went there today. It probably went very well. And he basically said, yeah, this is the place for me. So we'll see what the contract is exactly. But I think it's somewhere between 6 to 8 million. Oh shit. The Patriots are also signing Jeremy Hill. So that's pretty crazy. So they're signing 2 guys at the same time. I could make this both a Patriots are signing Adrian Clayborn and Jeremy Hill video. Crazy. So Patriots have added to their running back position and the defensive end position. Awesome. All right, so we have a lot to talk about, guys. Patriots fans, NFL fans, let me know what you guys think about the Adrian Clayborn, Jeremy Hill signings, whether you're here live right now or after the fact. Let me know. So going back to the comments, Frontline says, wow, go Patriots. Yes. Gurley, number 30, says testing 1, 2, 3. Video won't load. It's working. Frontline says, let's go. Killin' Boy says, now let's get Vinny Curry. I think they won't get Vinny Curry because I feel like Vinny Curry and Adrian Clayborn are very similar players. So it would almost mean that you're getting the same player. Now they might kick the tires and see how much his market is, but I would prefer maybe them to get. I am on the board. I'm pretty much asking, can they try and see if Tyrann Mathieu wants to be a Patriot next year? That would be nice. Or I really want a linebacker. We saw that Preston Brown got signed. Zach Brown's been signed. Demario Davis. They did bring in Jonathan Casillas, but I feel like they could bring two veteran linebackers from free agency. Don't have to be upper echelon guys, but just guys that can play a role. I'd really like them to bring back Marquise Flowers, who I thought was good in situations last year. So I think they need to address still the linebacker position and bring in depth and guys with speed and coverage abilities. And then I wouldn't mind adding another pass rusher, of course. Those can always help. You can never have enough of those players. Adrian Clayborn obviously gives them another player that can do that. It reminds me sort of that Jabal Sheard signing that they had in 2015, a very similar type of player. Now, Sheard, I would say, is a better pass rusher, but I feel like Clayborn is a better all-around edge defender in terms of his rushing, run-stopping ability as well. So if you guys know the contract for both guys, let me know. But Jeremy Hill. So getting into Jeremy Hill, my guess is that this contract is not going to be very much. My guess is that it's also probably a 1 or 2 year deal. I would prefer it to be a 1 year deal, if anything, because I feel like Jeremy Hill could be he could obviously be a big time player. If not, I feel like if it's only a 1 or 2 year deal and it's obviously going to be cheap, I feel like he could rather be a blockbuster type move, or he could be sort of just a guy that gets cut even. Like he has a very wide spectrum of what he could give the Patriots. He could rather be a player that's a disappointment, or he could be a player that is a huge move. Like Jeremy Hill could be the next LeGarrette Blount for this team. He could be that sort of runner. That's the type of runner he is. He's a hard-nosed, big runner. He's very good in the red zone. He knows how to find the end zone. So the Patriots are definitely good in that area with Jeremy Hill if they want to bring him on. I also feel like this is bad news for Mike Gillislee. Very similar players. They both have pretty good explosion when getting to the second level. They're not overly fast or quick, but they have pretty good vision, good size. I feel like Gillislee did show more burst in his Buffalo years, but Jeremy Hill has shown more production. So I feel like those two players are going to battle it out for one spot on the roster this upcoming season. You can definitely count on Brandon Bolden and special team spot being safe. You can count on both Burkhead and White being on the roster. But in terms of Gillislee and Hill, I feel like this is Gillislee competition for that role to be that other running back along with Burkhead and White in that rotation. I would be pretty shocked if they brought on 5 running backs because, of course, Brandon Bolden does take a job there. And I also feel like this kind of, maybe not in the later rounds, but this kind of also keeps them out of the running back conversation in the early part of the draft. I think they are going to focus a lot on what it seems like offensive line with the tackle position, and also probably another player on defense, whether that's a linebacker or a defensive end. Remember, they have 2 seconds. They have a first-round pick. So they have 3 early picks in this draft as well as a third-round pick. So they have 4 picks in the first 3 rounds. And then that's basically going to be able to fill out their roster. The Patriots have been pretty good as of late with finding some of these guys like Dietrich Wise, Trey Flowers, Derek Rivers, these pass rush types in the 3rd to 4th round as of late. So I feel like they are going to probably target that maybe in the late 2nd, early 3rd round with those sort of players. But it's looking more and more like the Patriots will probably take a tackle at the end of the 1st round. But we'll see what happens. Okay, so continuing on with the, he got 5 sacks he got 5? I thought he got 6 sacks. Maybe I'm wrong. Benjamin says, good pickup. Frontline says, yes, good pickup. Bro, how do you pronounce your name? I'm trying to figure this out. Is it Virgilio? Can you help me, bro? Like, seriously. There is literally a hole in the middle of the defense. Well, the Patriots, they don't have a hole because they have Dante Hightower back. As long as Dante Hightower is there, they're a pretty decent defense. With the signing of Clayborn. With the signing of Clayborn, I quite honestly feel like they're a better defense than last year. With bringing on Danny Shelton, I already feel that because I know that they lost Butler, but that was the only guy that they've lost on defense. They replaced him with Jason McCourty, who, like I said already, played better than Butler last year. Now, I know that we can't count on him being better than Butler. I feel like he'll be good and competent. And the second corner position is not a weakness. It's not really a strength either, but it's good. Like the corner position is solid right now. The safety position is good. The linebacker position with Hightower, I would say, is solid. It needs more depth for sure. But when looking at that linebacker core, it's the same one from 2016 with Van Noy, Hightower, and McClellan starting. That's the same guys that was the #1 ranked defense in 2016. If they can add a couple of guys to that, you're looking at a better linebacking core than even that year. And then the pass rush, they had a better one in 2016, a little bit deeper, of course, I thought. But this is already better than last year's pass rush because now you have versatility with what you can do with those players. And I definitely think the run defense is better with adding a guy like Danny Shelton, who I think is a force in that facet of the game. So I think the Patriots defense is already improved from last year, and that's not even counting the rest of free agency or the draft. So I'm really high on their moves defensively. Offensively, of course, you've lost Lewis and Solder, but you get back Edelman and Malcolm Mitchell. So there is sort of some tug, and you lost Danny Amendola, obviously. So they're probably a little bit weaker on offense, but they still can add. They added Jeremy Hill to help replace Dion Lewis, maybe. But like I said, I don't feel like that is really a replacement for Dion Lewis. I feel like Burkhead and White will do more of the things that Lewis did last year, and Hill and Gillislee will sort of be that kind of blunt, forced trauma guy that can come in at the end of the game and in the red zone and kind of, give a strong force to the team and give some toughness in that regard. So that's my feelings on all the signings right now. So the Patriots are pretty much doing what they've done in the past. They've waited for the first kind of stage of free agency to pass, and now they're starting to pick away with guys that they like in the middle of free agency. Benjamin said Preston Brown with the Bengals. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a video on that. I have a whole list here, guys. The funny thing about this is I was actually going to start doing these videos. I tweeted it out as well. Like I was going to do a series of videos just breaking down these signings throughout free agency. But I saw that Clayborn signed as soon as I was going to start. So I was like, I might as well go live, talk about Clayborn, and then do these later. So the videos I'm going to do, just to throw them out there, I have Carlos Hyde, Jordy Nelson, Muhammad Wilkerson, Don Terry Poe, it's a long list, AJ McCarron, Malcolm Butler, Dion Lewis, Tremaine Johnson, Nate Solder, Teddy Bridgewater, Preston Brown, and Sheldon Richardson. If I missed any big signings that I haven't done already and broken down already that you would like me to add to this list, let me know. But those are some of the big ones that have happened that I've yet to cover, really. So I'm going to be doing those in kind of individual videos that I'll be posting on the channel. So if you want analysis individually on your team and your signings, like the Titans, Browns, Raiders, Packers, what they've done so far, then check those videos out. This is more about the Patriots, but you can also ask me other questions. Raiders says NFL wants the Raiders to suck until they move to Vegas. The Raiders actually made a couple decent moves today. Who'd they bring in today? Well, they not only brought in Jordy Nelson, where I know that he's replacing Michael Crabtree. They brought in Doug Martin, which I think is a good move. And then on defense, they brought in somebody. They brought in Rashard Melvin today, which I thought was a good signing overall. I actually think the Raiders have somewhat improved. You can argue with me or banter with me if you want on that, but I feel like the Raiders have gotten a little bit better. I'm not going to say that they're great, but I feel like they've gotten a little bit better. Okay. Lots of comments, guys. Lots of comments. I'm going to go through these quickly. I've kind of ignored them so far. Carl says, what are some needs the Patriots need on defense? Okay, so I went over that. I hope you caught that. Yeah, Harvey Longy is a guy that I also didn't bring up, but he was impressive in the free agency, or not free agency, in preseason last year. He's also a guy that is pretty big and mobile for his size. Hopefully he comes back from that injury. He's a guy that could really add some depth to that team at linebacker. I like what I saw last year from him. Mr. Stoopy says Jeremy Hill sucks. I wouldn't say he's great, but like I said, I don't think they're bringing him in for a whole heck of a lot, and I don't think they're expecting him to do a ton. Chicago Blackhawks says terrible move. The Pats are going to suck. Sorry, bro. Joseph says, wasn't the 6-1 game versus Dallas? Yes, it was. How much cap do you think the Patriots will have after the signings? I don't even know what exact number they're at right now. So actually okay, so I was pretty much right. I said $6 million, and I like this sign. Patriots 2 years, $12 million. That's a good signing. I like that. That I feel like 2 years, That's pretty solid. That would make him 31 when he's up in contract. Gives him a little bit flexibility if they don't really like him after year one, which I doubt. I feel like he's their type of player anyways. I also feel like he has somewhat of the Ninkovich to him as well. I think he has some sort of that going on as well. Yeah, $6 million is pretty reasonable for a guy like Clayborn. I thought, he might have gotten a little bit more considering some of the guys that have been signed. I think that he was signed for a reasonable amount. So I also saw that the Patriots brought in Delvin Breaux today, the Saints cornerback. He could be a big time under the radar signing if they get him. I really like what I've seen. He's been injured. The problem with him has been injuries. But if they can bring him in as the third corner, I think that would be pretty solid. So continuing on. Jeremy says, is Bridgewater our franchise quarterback? It's a tough question. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I haven't really been overly impressed with Bridgewater, but he has shown promise to be a pretty decent overall quarterback. I don't think you're going to get... Now, to answer that question, franchise quarterback is different from a quarterback because a franchise quarterback is a player that's consistently good year in and year out for that franchise. A quarterback, like sometimes people label a rookie a franchise quarterback even though he hasn't proven himself yet. Like Teddy Bridgewater is in that same sort of range of a rookie or a guy that hasn't really proven himself yet. I still feel like he has strides that he could go. Apparently, before he got injured, he was looking really good with the Vikings. I think he could be a steal at the position, but I don't necessarily feel like he could be a franchise quarterback. I think the best Teddy Bridgewater could be is somewhere in the lower end of the, top. I feel like he could be at max 10 to 15 range in terms of quarterback in the NFL. Where he probably sits right now is somewhere around 25-ish in the NFL. That's my opinion. Pat's fan says, Patriots just signed Jeremy Hill. Yep. Owen says, is Tyvon Branch still on the Cardinals? I believe he is a free agent, but he might have been signed. I don't think so, but he might have been signed. Yeah, Mr. Stoopy just hates the Patriots. Jeremy says, might add Eric Ebron. Are you talking about the Patriots or the Jets? Because I saw that Patriots did bring him in as well. Yeah, I know your name is extremely difficult to say. Can I just call you? What should I call you? Big V? Can I call you Big V? Carl says he's not a bum. Who he played for? Tackles don't necessarily mean anything for an edge rusher, Mr. Snoopy. Rashad Melvin, yep. He got signed by the Raiders. Asher says, do you think the Patriots will draft a quarterback? Like I've been saying, I think it's possible, man. I think it's in the realm of possibility. I wouldn't count on it. First 3 rounds is different from the first round. I've been asked the first round a lot and the early second. I think you could see them pick a quarterback if it's tough. If one of those quarterbacks, if Lamar Jackson falls, I feel like there's a possibility they could pick him. I don't really know who they're interested in. I think they could pick one in the 3rd round or the end of the 2nd, but I think it's probably pretty... They always tend to pick a quarterback, but every draft, it's just a matter of when and who. But if they like one enough, they'll definitely do it. I think there are bigger needs at the moment than a quarterback, but I wouldn't be opposed to do it. If it's the right guy, if he can be the next guy in line and they really feel confident in him, I'm all for it. So that's the answer. Do you think the Patriots are contenders for Tyrann Mathieu? I don't know if they're necessarily contenders, but from what Tyrann Mathieu said, because I haven't seen where he wants to, I've seen where he wants to go. I haven't seen who's interested in it. I haven't seen any teams bring him in for a visit. I haven't seen any teams contact him at all. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen anything from Schefter, Ian Rappaport, any reliable source that has told me that Tyrann Mathieu could be going to the Patriots or, could be visiting with a different team. In terms of, do I think they could be contenders? I think he fits the bill for what the Patriots like. I mean, he's a versatile player. He can play safety or corner. I think they do need a slot corner and have always needed one. And that sort of chess piece that he could bring would be very intriguing. I think this also would allow guys like Patrick Chung to play a little bit more of a different role on the defense. I think it would give Devin McCourty and the corners a little bit more versatility. And I overall just think Tyrann Mathieu is the type of player that impacts the entire defense. I don't think he's a game-changing defensive player, but I think he's a player that allows for so much more in terms of scheme, and he's like a chess piece that Belichick, I feel, would use to his potential. He's a very good player. His issue has been mostly injuries, and we're coming back from those injuries, but he's definitely the type of guy I would want New England to sign. I've actually heard that his market is around $9 million, which if that's the case, I would definitely take that into account and probably sign him. If he's under $10 million, I would definitely consider signing him if I'm the Patriots, and that seems reasonable. So for me, I think the Patriots would be in the conversation to sign Tyrann Mathieu. I don't know if, he would go there necessarily. But at the same time, I also heard that Tyrann Mathieu wants to go somewhere where football is important and he wants to win, and that sounds like the Patriots to me. Carl says, I believe the Patriots will make a trade for a receiver. Again, I'm in the camp that they don't need a receiver, but that's me. I've said it like every video that I've been on here. I really don't think they need a receiver. They have Cooks, they have Edelman, they have Hogan, arguably they have one of the top 3 receiver cores in the entire league. So I don't really think that they need a receiver. Killing Boys, you cannot be a mod after was it you? Correct me if I'm wrong, Killing Boys, but was it you who was booting people out of the chat? Because if that's the case, I don't want you back as a mod. I'm sorry, bro. I like you, Killing Boys, but you can't just be booting people out of the chat. Like that's not cool. Simon says, do you think the Patriots can bring in Sue? I would want them to, but I don't think so because I think he's going to cost too much money. He has said that the fit and the team does not matter. He does not care about winning. He wants to go to the highest bidder. So that does not sound like the Patriots. He'll likely go to a team like the Colts or, somebody that is willing to pay him some money. I would actually think that maybe the Browns would be up for signing him. I don't know. I think there's a lot of suitors for Sue. I think the Patriots in terms of a team that would need him and a team that could use him. And I think any team could use Sue. I think he's still an elite player, but I just think his price range is going to be too high. I don't know why you would ever be embarrassed to be a Patriots fan. I'm sorry, Mr. Snoopy. I think you are trolling me. Yeah, I wish they had Clowney too. I've heard about the Kyle thing, Asher. I don't know if I'm a huge fan, to be honest. Seems like a great kid. I don't know overall if he is a great quarterback. I feel like he has a lot of good intangibles, but I don't know if he is overly talented. Like I still am a little concerned with like his ability to like throw the ball, like down the field, with some power. He has decent accuracy, mobility, but to me, he sort of seems like a borderline starter backup to me. He's not really a guy that I would consider being a future quarterback of the Patriots, but maybe. Matthew could go to the Saints, possibly. That could happen. Do you think Amendola left because of team problems or just money? I think mostly money. Do I think Sue is overrated? It depends what you think of Sue. I think Sue is a top 5 D tackle. So no. I don't think he's the best. I don't think he's the second best. He's probably like the 4th or 5th best defensive tackle in the league. Zay says, what's good, yo? What's going on? What's going on, Zay? Oh man, I would love to see Johnny Manziel. Hey, why not? Like seriously, give him a 1-year contract, less than $1 million, 1 million, whatever. Bring him in. Let him play in preseason. Why not? See what happens. He's been working hard. He seems like a different guy. He loves the Patriots. Like, why not? Yeah, see, Kill'em Boys was the guy that was friggin' kicking people out. Kill'em Boys, you can't be kicking people out, bro. Unless they say stupid shit. I don't know what Icy Pablo is saying. Your makeup is running. I don't know if he means me. Probably does. It's probably just the way that Google Hangouts makes me look on the screen, because sometimes my internet connection makes it seem like my makeup is running. So Adam Schefter has tweeted that the Patriots have given former End Adrian Clayborn $12.5 million per source, 2-year max. So this means that his max is $12.5 million, which means that basically he can max make 6.25 a year. So that means it's 6 or less. So I feel like that's a really good deal. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I feel like that's a really good deal to get him for less than $6 million. I thought that they were going to have to spend a little bit more to get a player even of his caliber, which I feel like he's a good starter, not a great player, but a good starter, and definitely will contribute. That's the sort of player he is. I want to see what the Jeremy Hill contract is. If anybody knows what the Jeremy Hill contract is, please let me know. What do you think about Poe joining the Panthers? Zay, it's on my list, bro. I don't know if you can see this. It's on my list. Where is it? It's right there. Dontari Poe. I'll be making a video about Dontari Poe just for you, buddy. There you go. So once I make that video, you'll know how I feel about Dontari Poe going to the Panthers. But overall, what I can say about the Panthers getting Dontari Poe is that they got a lot heavier. The Packers signed Fuller, but the Bears have a chance to sign him back. So I have to wait until that happens. But if the Packers do indeed sign him, that would be a great move, in my opinion. Yes, the Super Bowl was hard to watch, Snoopy. Asher says, thoughts on Cyrus Jones. Cyrus Jones has been arguably the worst New England Patriot over the past 2 to 3 years. I can't think of anybody worse. He's been bad. Well, maybe Cassius Marsh was pretty bad. And he actually played in the regular season. So that being said, but I think Cyrus Jones, there's always that factor to me that he was that pick in the second round. And I did feel like once they put him in the slot, he did get a little bit better. And I feel like his punt returning skills have kind of shown up in moments. So as long as he can not fumble and play in the slot at corner and maybe improve a little, I feel like he could be a guy that could help. I don't think he's ever going to be that good, but I think he could be, a contributor to the team, a depth piece, and possibly a returner, which they really do need a returner with Lewis gone now and Amendola gone as a punt returner. Of course, you have Edelman, but you don't really want Edelman returning punts at this point. I think Cyrus Jones could definitely make the team based off his ability to return kicks and punts. So we'll see with Cyrus Jones, but I think overall, he's a player that could contribute in more ways than just playing corner at this point, but I have not liked what I've seen from him at corner for the most part in his young career. Plus, he's coming off an injury. We'll see. If the guy is motivated and he has some confidence, I think the biggest thing with him is having confidence. He's shown that he really gets really hard on himself, and he just can't get that confidence that he needs to play the position, which you need to be confident at corner. I think that was also one of the big issues with Malcolm Butler last year. I've been critical of how Malcolm Butler has been at play last year as a Patriot. I'm a huge fan of Malcolm Butler, always will be, but last year he wasn't the same player. And I felt like a lot of that was because of confidence and the confidence that he wasn't being paid by the team and they didn't really see him as that guy and they paid Stephon Gilmore. And I think that all psychologically played a role. And I think he will perform better in Tennessee this year than he did last year for New England, because I think he'll have more confidence and he's assured that, he is the guy there in Tennessee. So I think that that's a big part of being a corner, is having the confidence to play the position. But I think at slot corner, he could be sort of a surprise. And I think as a returner, he could definitely be quality. What else here? What's the truce, kill 'em boys? Zay says, do you think Sammy Watkins will fit with my Chiefs? I made a video. We made a video on that, Zay. Go check that out, bro. Go check it out. I think he'll fit. I just am not a huge fan of Sammy Watkins. That answers your question in short. I don't think he is the player that people think he is. I think he's good. I don't think he's a number one, but I don't think he needs to be that in Kansas City because they have Tyreek Hill, who I'm a big fan of. But he gives a different dimension to the offense for sure. He'll definitely improve the position. And I think he sort of gives you a Jeremy Maclin. Like what you got from Jeremy Maclin for a couple of years there, I think you'll be getting with Sammy Watkins. Similar production, similar type of player to me. So I think they fit that role, which they really missed last year. They didn't really have that type of player, especially with Chris Conley going down. It hurt them in the passing game. So I think that it brings another weapon. It brings another guy, but I think he's the third option, even fourth option in that offense. You have, of course, Kareem Hunt in the running game. You have Travis Kelce. You have Tyreek Hill. So I think Sammy Watkins is like that fourth guy, which I think he could be explosive in that role. But I just don't. I'm not a huge fan of paying him that much money because I don't think he is that good in terms of what he got in terms of his contract. Yeah, let me know on those Hill details. Simon says, do you think the Browns will be better? Because I do. Do you see the 49ers as a playoff team? 49ers could definitely be a playoff team. Browns will definitely be better. Browns will not be a playoff team better, but they'll be better. And I think the 49ers could be better in terms of playoff team better. So that answers your question in a complicated fashion. Malcolm Mitchell, ER7 says, I'm looking forward to see what he can do. Definitely, that's one of the guys I'm going to be paying attention to closely in the preseason and in training camp. Actually, if you Patriot fans, because I don't watch really anyone else in preseason, I sort of do, I guess, but I don't really go in depth and watch teams in preseason besides my own team, which is the Patriots. So if Patriots fans want to see me do sort of a preseason breakdown of all the games, then I could definitely do that because I'll definitely be watching them. So if you're interested in that as a Patriots fan, I could definitely add that to the list of things to do this offseason. And even training camp reports, I could definitely do as well because I'm huge into training camp. I'm huge into the preseason. I love watching the guys that are on the bubble and those sort of guys. Malcolm Mitchell's not on the bubble. I feel like he's definitely going to make the roster. It's just a matter of how much can he contribute. Because I think at his max, he could be a quality number 2 receiver in the NFL. His low side is like a player that just doesn't make it because he got injured and his timing is off and he doesn't have the athleticism to make it. But I feel like he has shown in spurts and definitely his rookie season, he showed some promise. So I think he could definitely be a surprise this year. Mark says, why do you think he was benched, Butler? I've answered this question too many times. I really don't know. I honestly can't answer that question with any actual evidence, any actual legitimacy. So I can't really answer it. Okay, kill them boys. If I delete someone's comment again, you strip me again forever. Well, you can delete comments, but only if they're offensive to anyone in the chat, like they're directly calling someone out personally, or 2, they're spamming, or 3, they're not making fun of me because that's fine, but like personally attacking me. Those 3 things, you can delete comments. The rest of them, if they say the Patriots suck, you cannot delete comments. If they say Patriots, F the Patriots, you can't delete the comment. So that's the terms. I know you're a Patriots fan, but if they say bad things about the Patriots, you can't just delete their comment. That's my point. So I'll give it to you because you deserved it. But if you do something bad, I'm gonna strip it away again. So I'll add the moderator. Simon says, I feel like the Chiefs gave Pat Mahomes the starting spot too early and gave up on Alex Smith for no reason. I'm a big fan of Pat Mahomes, so I don't necessarily agree with you. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I don't agree with you either. I think Pat Mahomes can be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I think Pat Mahomes has abilities that Alex Smith does not have. And I think in an Andy Reid system, any quarterback could be pretty decent. So that being said, I feel like even though Pat Mahomes is unproven, even though he's young, it was worth moving on from Alex Smith because if you hit with Patrick Mahomes, as we've seen in the trends of the NFL, if you hit with Patrick Mahomes, you don't have to spend a lot of money on the quarterback position because you let go of Alex Smith, who's getting a crazy contract from the Redskins. So, that being said, you see teams like Russell Wilson as the Seahawks, Carson Wentz as the Eagles, these younger teams that have been able to work around the cap because they have a quarterback that's on their rookie contract. So if the Chiefs can hit on Patrick Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes is a good quarterback, then you maximize your potential for winning a Super Bowl. I really feel like the trend has become that if you have a young quarterback on their rookie contract that is elite or very good, you have a very good chance of winning the Super Bowl. Sean, this is a good question, Sean. He says, Pat signed Matt Tobin, an offensive line. Oh, they did sign him. All right, let's see. Thank you for updating me there. I'm looking at my Twitter now. All right, 1 year. That's great. Okay, so I actually asked AC a question on this guy. So Matt Tobin is a tackle that started for the Eagles 2 years ago for like 15 games or something. I may be wrong, but he started for a long portion of time. We'll put it at that for the Eagles in 2016 because of because of suspensions to Lane Johnson and injuries to Peters. So he was a guy that was a starter for the Eagles who have a very good offensive line. And AC said he played well for the Seahawks, which is weird. He didn't play a lot. He was used as the 6th tackle or the 6th offensive lineman. So like the guy that comes in the running situations and sort of the extra offensive lineman and goal line and that sort of thing. He was that sort of guy and like the swing tackle that could be a backup for either guy, but he wasn't like a starter for the Seahawks, which is interesting. But this is a guy that played a lot of time in Philly the year previous. The Patriots obviously like him. I like this signing because it's a guy that has some upside to become a starter. At least that's from the scouting report of what AC said. And from looking into the guy, seems like he has some promise. Just looking him up now. I'm going to look him up. Matt Tobin, 1 year. I think that's good. I wouldn't be surprised if they also signed Delvin Breaux because he was visiting today as well. So in the next couple of days, don't be surprised if they sign him. But he's 27, still has a lot of time. He was an Eagle from 13 to 16, Seahawk from 17. He started 21 games in his career. That's pretty good. So it's a guy that you could really sort of throw into the same conversation as a Cameron Fleming, as a Adrian Waddle. Same sort of guy. Has the potential to be a starter, but not necessarily being a starter. early in his career. But I think this is a guy that could come in and compete at that position. And like I said was it yesterday with McCourty? Was it yesterday? But when I talked about McCourty, I brought up the fact that I think the Patriots are going to bring in a couple veteran tackles to compete for that job and then probably draft one. I think that's the case of what they're doing with Tobin and then probably bringing in another guy like Fleming or Waddle. I think that's not a bad move. Definitely always up for 1-year deals. Always up for 1-year deals because they have no downside. You can cut him right away and it does not matter. Dear Pats Nation tweeted me. Let me actually look. I'll do that live right now for you, Killing Boys. Let me see. He might have tweeted me on the Bottom Line View. I think he followed me, actually, and subscribed to me. I'm looking at this. He followed me. Okay, I'll follow him back. There you go. I followed Dear Pats Nation back. So maybe we can do some videos in the future there. And if you're watching this, Dear Pats Nation, hit me up. Okay, what else we got? Brian says, we got Jeremy Hill. He's excited. Madden 44 wants me to talk about the Lions. Lions haven't done anything recently, but I like what I saw. I like what they did with the signings of those 2 linebackers. Let me look up the Detroit Lions in case I missed anything. They re-signed Zach Zenner today. I like that move. But they're still looking for running backs. I heard that LeGarrette Blount is in play for the Lions, which would be a good move for them, I think. They did release Eric Ebron. I don't necessarily think that's a bad move. But I just think he needed I think he needs a new change of scenery. I don't necessarily give up on Eric Ebron as a player because he's shown some promise. I just think he's not necessarily what you drafted him. And actually looking at what the Lions could have drafted after Eric Ebron, it's pretty crazy because you look at like OBJ and those players that followed him, some pretty good players that you could have drafted. So Matt Tobin. Mark says, do you think a 1-year deal for Sue with the Patriots is realistic? And would the New England really want a dirty player? Well, they liked Rodney Harrison, who is considered arguably the dirtiest player in NFL history. Also, Ndamukong Suh would not come on a 1-year deal, in my opinion. Bro, why do you keep saying everyone stinks? I like what the Patriots are doing. They're getting back to the Patriot way. They're signing small contracts. I like it. I like it. I like what they're doing right now. That's how they won Super Bowls. Yeah, I talked about Anthony Hitchens a while back, but overall, just to say that. Okay, I just got an update on Kyle Fuller. To interrupt my comment on Anthony Hitchens, I'll get back to Anthony Hitchens. The Bears are matching the Packers' offer, according to Ian Rappaport. So whoever said that, he's going there. So Ian Rappaport says, let me see. Come on. Ian Rappaport. Okay, goddamn. All right, so from as far as I know, in terms of this, Ian Rappaport says the Bears are matching the Packers offer sheet for Kyle Fuller. Sources say Fuller stays in Chicago, so he's going to be a Bear. It's a 4-year deal worth $56 million, and the key number is $18 million guaranteed. So that's a good contract for both. in my opinion. Fuller already had $13 million guaranteed from the transition tag, for $5 million more guaranteed, and lock him up long term. Kyle Fuller had a really good season last year, proved to be a good pick in the draft a couple years back, even though he sort of struggled in his first couple of years, but bounced back last year, had a really good season. This would have been an awesome deal for the Packers. I am happy that the Packers went out and tried to get a player like Kyle Fuller, even though they weren't successful. What they did was they drove up the price for him for the Bears to get him. And they also, went out and were aggressive with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. You need to maximize that window, as I've been saying. And I don't think they've been doing that until this year. I think they've made a couple good moves. I didn't understand the Jordy Nelson thing. But besides that, I think, bringing in a guy like Muhammad Wilkerson was a nice move. Jimmy Graham, we'll see. Zay says Chiefs sign Anthony Hitchens. Okay, so in terms of Anthony Hitchens, I talked about him in a different video. Myself and Dylan both talked about him. We didn't post an individual video on him, but he's a good all-around linebacker. I like him as a tackler. I've always liked him as an all-around backer. I think he's kind of been underappreciated in Dallas because they have Sean Lee. I think he'll fit into the Chiefs quite well in their 3-4. So I like that signing. I think it was a little too expensive, though. I think they overpaid him a little bit much, but I think it was a good overall signing because I like him as a player. Okay, what else? Are the Texans keeping Lamar or Miller? As far as I'm concerned, I haven't seen anything on him. Robot says, Mitch, how do you think the Pats look right now? I said I think their defense is better now with the acquisitions of Shelton, Clayborn, and McCourty. I think their defense is better. Their offense is worse. I'm still concerned about the tackle position, but I like what they have. I like that they brought in Hill to give some competition to Gillislee. At running back, I'm not too concerned because they always find a way at that position, and they have that pass-catching back, which I like. In terms of their offensive line, I'd like to see a tackle that's, we'll see. We probably won't know how good their offensive line is until the first couple weeks of the season. But they always seem to work out the kinks in that area, and Scar is such a good coach that I think he kind of work around it. And I think people forget that they didn't have Marcus Cannon, who was an all-pro a year before, and they had Cameron Fleming and Adrian Waddle fill in quite well for him. So I think that they could work with Solder not being there this year, and potentially draft somebody. And I like the Tobin signing. So my biggest concern on the team is tackle. I would also like them to bring in a linebacker. They're all working on this. They've been bringing in people. Linebacker, possibly another pass rusher, another corner. But I feel like the team is shaping up quite well. After the first 2 days of free agency, I was pretty concerned over them not doing anything. But now they're starting to pick it up, and it seems like they're making some quality, good moves for a limited amount of money and a limited downside, which I like. I don't know how you could say Sue is a bum. Bro, do you think anybody is good? Super Bowl 53, New England. Mitch, do you remember my first time chatting with you guys about Fandango? I can't remember the first time, but I remember you being on the wrestling videos, yeah. Poor Packers, says Sean. Jamar says the contract was chump change for the Bears. The Bears have a lot of money. Mark says, will Danny Amendola's production decrease in Miami? Tough question to answer. I think he'll have the same amount of production this year as he did last year with New England, because he played a pretty big role with New England last year. And I think he'll play a similar one with Miami, although they brought in Albert Wilson, who plays the same sort of position. And he'll split with Albert Wilson. So I think he'll be somewhere right around where he was last year, or a slight decline. I don't think he'll be any better than he was last year, to answer your question. I agree. Phillip Rivers is very underrated. Beast says, do you think the Patriots will pay up for Cooks? I hope so. I really like Cooks. I think he proved himself last year in the end of the year. It was disappointing that he got hurt in the Super Bowl. It would have changed the game. He is that type of player. He's arguably the best deep threat in the league, according to statistic. He does still need to develop in terms of a route runner a little bit in the intermediate range, but he definitely brought something special to the offense in terms of a deep threat. I think you'll see him have a huge year this year because having Julian Edelman back and hopefully Gronk still there, it's going to open his game up that much more, and it's going to open Edelman's game up that much more. So I'm really looking forward to Edelman and Cooks both being on the same offense. It's going to be very fun. I think Cooks had a not an inconsistent year somewhat, but he was still a good player. Like, he put up good statistics. But then I think at the end of the year and in clutch situations, like against the Jags, he was awesome. Was he? I don't really remember against the Titans, but like in certain moments last year, he was huge. He was great. And he had really big games in some portions. He also caused the most offensive pass interference penalties in the league. So that being said, I think he had a good first year with the Patriots. It's tough for a receiver to come in and immediately work with Tom Brady and that offense because it's so difficult to learn and it's difficult to get on the same page with Brady all the time. But I hope that they do pay him. I hope that it's not overpaying, but I hope that he does stick around because he's still young. He's not even in his prime yet. He is extremely, he's a player that can hit a touchdown on any play. And he is also a player that I think is an awesome guy. Like, if you follow him on Instagram, he is a really cool guy, like a really nice guy. I just like him as a person as well, which I like having him on the team overall. Next. Who will be the worst team in the league? Oh, that's tough. Griff Whalen. Yeah, okay. Griff Whalen. What a name. Griff Whalen. All right. What was I going to search up? Who's the worst team in the league? All right, let me look up NFL teams. Not the Patriots, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Packers, the San Francisco 49ers, Vikings, Raiders, Seahawks. I don't think it's the Browns. I don't think it's the Bears. I don't think it's the Broncos. I don't even think it's the Jets. This is a very tough question. Wow. It could be the Colts without luck. If the Colts don't have luck, it could be the Colts. It could be the Bills. I don't think it's the Dolphins, even though I don't think they're very good. Yeah, that's a really difficult question. It's not the Redskins. It's not the Titans. It's not the Bucks. It's not the Seahawks. It's not the 49ers. It's not the Steelers. It's not the Eagles. It's not the Raiders. Jets could be bad. Giants could definitely be bad. Dolphins could be bad. Colts could be bad. Broncos could be bad. Browns could be bad. Not the worst, though. Bears could be bad. Bengals could be pretty bad. But I think all teams have made some decent moves. It's difficult to know right now. But once I do my predictions, you'll know. I'm usually pretty accurate on who the worst team in the league is. All right. Good night, Snoopy. How well do you think the Browns will do this season? Right now, I'm going to say 6 wins. Chargers are not going to be the worst team. I think the Chargers can make the playoffs, actually. I would not be surprised if they made the playoffs. Mark says, where do you see Tyrann Mathieu landing? And are the Jets top of the talk for him? Because if so, how would that change the Jets? It would definitely change the Jets. They need a player like that. I think their safety position is already pretty good. Like, they have 2 really good safeties. Marcus May and Jamal Adams are both very good players. I think, though, that Tyrann Mathieu could give them, again, like I said with the Patriots, a guy that's a chess piece, a guy that can change a defense in what he allows a coordinator to do because of his versatility. Okay, so yeah, I think I don't know if he is the top of the talk though. I haven't heard anything on him really, like in terms of where he's gonna go. But I heard that he said that he wants to go to a team that is loves, a team that football is important and the team is a winning team. So I'm looking up Tyrann Mathieu on Twitter and I don't see anything really. 7 potential landing spots according to NFL.com. The Giants, Jets, Raiders, Bucks, Saints, Packers, and Texans. To me, the Packers make sense. The Texans make sense. The Saints make sense. The Buccaneers do make sense, but I don't think that's going to happen. The Raiders make sense. The Jets, like I said, they make sense, but I don't think they're at the top of the list. It really depends what he wants and how much money he wants, really. The Giants, I guess that makes sense because the defensive coordinator. Yeah, I think all those teams sort of make sense. But if I had to narrow them down, I think the Packers will be going after him after what happened with Fuller. I think the Saints will take a look. The Texans will take a look. The Raiders. I think the Jets will definitely be in the conversation, but it depends what sort of team and atmosphere he wants to go to. Because I still don't think the Jets are a team that is going to be like competitive. Like they're not going to be terrible, but I don't think they're going to be like a playoff team. So, uh, Jamar talking about the quarterbacks. Rusty says Devontae Parker, Robbie Anderson, Kevin White. Which will be the best this year? Robbie Anderson. What I think could be Devontae Parker, but I think that it probably Robbie Anderson. Bro, is it Rayan? Rayan? Is it a different way to spell Ryan? I think it's Rayan, right? Any news on Delvin Bro? You're also the guy that tweeted me, I think. I recognize your name. No, but he did visit today, and hopefully they can sign him because I am a fan of Delvin Bro. He actually played in the CFL. He was like the best player in the CFL for like a year, like Cameron Wake was. And then he went to the Saints, had a really good year with the Saints, got injured, and never has really come back to being that sort of player. But I definitely think he could help, and bringing him in as a depth corner and a third to fourth guy, I think would be really good. How do you feel about Vinny Curry and does he fit on the Pats? Like I said a little bit earlier, somebody asked me this question as well. I think Vinny Curry is a similar player to Adrian Clayborn. I think that's the reason why they don't do that move. But I think that Curry would be a player that they would look at. I just think that he is too much like Clayborn. How long could Brady be the Patriots quarterback? I'm going to say 2 more years. Zay says Tom Bahali. Rusty says Cameron Wake, Tom Bahali, or Gerald McCoy. Which one would you take in their prime? Oh, geez. I feel like Gerald McCoy is somewhat still in his prime. Holly is definitely not, and Wake is not. Wake was the best pass rusher, I think. That is tough. I like Holly though. Actually, I would have to look at their stats just to give me a gauge of how good they were. In terms of a player, Tamba Ali was pretty freaking good at one point. I don't know though. I might go with Cameron Wake. It's tough. But Holly from like 2010 to like 2014 was a beast. Yeah, I don't know. It's between I I think it's honestly between Holly and Wake, but Cameron Wake. I like Wake because he was a CFLer for my BC Lions. And Wake has had like like he's had 14 sacks, 15 sacks, 11 and a half, 11 and a half, 10 and a half. He's been pretty consistent. He's a sack guy. I think Kali is the better overall player, but I think Wake is a sack guy. So it depends what you want, I guess. But I would say Holly is the best player. Jarrell McCoy is good too, though. They're all good. What's going on with DRC? That's an interesting question. I haven't heard anything about him. I was looking forward to seeing where he would go. Yeah, and I'm going to look him up as well. Dominique. I think he's a second wave guy. I think he's going to be probably visiting with some teams pretty quickly here. Says report raw DRC to make decision in April. Oh, does that mean he might retire? Or does that mean he might sign somewhere? Okay, the Redskins met with him, so the Redskins are interested. He still wants to play corner, though. So that's something to consider. I think he would be a good fit on the Redskins. Does Robert Quinn still have it? That's a tough question. I think he's good. I don't think he's the same guy that he was. I think he's like an 8-sack guy. I don't think he's like a 12-sack guy anymore. He doesn't seem to be the same guy. I think he's good. I don't think he's like great. He was great at one point, but I think he's just good. Kill 'em boys. Mitch, say happy anniversary since I've been here on the Bottom Line View. Happy anniversary, Kill 'em boys. All right, guys. I'll give you 2 more minutes. I'll end exactly at 8 o'clock, and then I'll be out. How started the Bill sounds? I thought they overpaid him. I think he is kind of a one-dimensional player. I think he's sort of like a run stopper that has been better. He was good like in his first and second year. Like he seemed like a game-changing D tackle, but that has since changed to me. I don't think he's the same player. I think he's good, but I think he was overpaid, like most people at the beginning of free agency were. That is, again, another reason why I don't mind what the Patriots are doing, because they're not overpaying for people. $6 million for Clayborn, I'll do that. 3 for McCourty, I'll do that every day of the week. Shelton on his contract, I'll do that. So, yes. No, I think the Cowboys, I guess they can't really trade him. I think they should consider cutting Dez. But I also think they should probably let him play this season out, because he may be able to turn it around this season, because maybe last year it was a bit of the injury and all that jazz. I would maybe give him 1 more year, but they should heavily consider it. I also haven't gone back and watched him last year. All I can go off of is what he did last year when I was watching him last year. I didn't really go back and look at his film to say this guy's not good anymore. Like he has the potential and he has his moments to be still as good as he was, but it just doesn't seem like he is athletically the same guy. Like he's not as explosive. He can still win body position. Like I feel like he could still be really good with certain quarterbacks. Like he's sort of like an Alshon Jeffrey to me at this point, where he is really good with his body, good with his hands, but he can't really separate from players, corners that much anymore. Like I think he could be good with an more accurate quarterback. Like I feel like Dak is a good quarterback, but his game isn't necessarily touch and accuracy. Whereas like a player, like I feel like Nick Foles got a lot out of Alshon Jeffrey because his game is touch and accuracy, and he was able to put the ball in good spots for Jeffrey in the playoffs and stuff. So I feel like, and Carson Wentz got some good stuff out of him as well. So I feel like Dez isn't the same top 5 receiver that he was a few years ago, because he's not athletically as good as he once was, but he's still a good player. He still can be a good player. I hope we sign Delvin Bro. I don't know if it'll be today, but I hope we do sign him. Simon says Navarro Bowman to the Pats. I could see it. I would welcome that. My question there is they didn't sign him last year when they needed somebody at that position, and I don't know. You know, I I think Edelman will be good this year. I think he's going to be back full steam ahead by training camp. It seems he's already been running and doing a lot of training, so I think Edelman will be back pretty good. And I think having Brandon Cooks, like I brought up earlier, definitely helps him. Like that season in 2016, he was their best target. It was his best season though, but he was their best target. There was no Gronk, there was no Cooks. So this year he'll have Gronk hopefully and Cooks as well. So that's going to just open him up that much more, and his matchup will be that much better. So I think Edelman will be really good. And of course, his chemistry with Brady is there. What's your view on Jason McCourty? I did a whole video on that. You can go check that video out. Nana Gaming says, who did we sign so far this year? Are you a Patriots fan? Anyways, it's 8:02. Thank you, Snoopy. I thought you left, Snoopy, bro. What are you doing? All right. I'm going to go. Thank you, guys. My voice is hurting. I got some water. This is what happens when you yell at a screen for like an hour. Thank you guys for joining me here live. Mark, it's Wentz. Thank you for joining me here live. And if you did, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more bottom line view and for more NFL news. I will have some of my analysis videos out on individual signings from teams other than the Patriots this weekend. Carlos Hyde, Jordy Nelson, Muhammad Wilkerson, Don Terry Poe, AJ McCarron, Malcolm Butler, Dion Lewis, Tremaine Johnson, Nate Solder, Teddy Bridgewater, Preston Brown, and Sheldon Richardson. Those videos will be out sometime this weekend. So you can check those videos out. And I possibly could, depending on what the Patriots do and if there are any big moves like Tyrann Mathieu signs or somebody like that this weekend, I'll be here live. So from the bottom line view, it's Mitch. If you haven't already subscribed, subscribe for NFL. Peace out.